You are looking at the most accurate geopolitical document of the 21st century. It is not a UN report. It is not an economics textbook. It is a manga. And as of this week, it is predicting live events. In 1973, the oil embargo crashed entire economies in 60 days. A 19-year-old in rural Japan watched the world panic. Her name was Hiromu Arakawa, and she spent the next 27 years turning what she saw into Fullmetal Alchemist, a story about a world where a single miraculous resource creates empires, corrupts governments, and destroys the people unlucky enough to sit on top of it. The Philosopher's Stone in FMA is oil. Amestris is a petrostate. The Ishval War is a resource war. An equivalent exchange is the most accurate economic law ever written into fiction. Today, every one of those claims is being proven in real time. Political scientists call it the resource curse. A country discovers oil. Wealth floods in. The government stops needing its citizens because it runs on the resource, not on taxes. Institutions rot. The military grows. Sound familiar? Venezuela, Nigeria, Iraq, Russia, Saudi Arabia, every single one. The Philosopher's Stone in FMA does exactly what oil does in the real world. Unlimited power for whoever controls it. It fuels the military. It funds the state. And it corrupts everything it touches. Amestris in FMA is governed exactly like a petrostate. The state doesn't derive legitimacy from its citizens. It derives power from alchemy, the resource, and uses the military to protect access to that resource. Every petrostate in history has worked the same way. When OPEC cut supply in 1973, the most powerful economies on Earth were brought to their knees in 6 weeks. That is the power of a single resource. Arakawa understood scarcity in her bones. She grew up on a farm in Hokkaido. She wrote what she knew. Now, the Ishval War. This is where FMA stops being an allegory and starts being a history lesson. Compare Ishval to Iraq in 2003. A religious minority targeted. A fabricated pretext. A government that needed the territory. And soldiers who believed they were liberating people. Until they realized they were the weapon of a resource war. The playbook is identical, and as of February 2026, it has happened a third time. The US listed seizing Iran's oil resources as an official justification for the strikes. Arakawa wrote this in 2002. Roy Mustang doesn't come back from Ishval as a hero. He comes back as someone who followed orders and destroyed a civilization. That is not a fictional moral dilemma. Ask any veteran of Iraq. Ask any soldier who served in the Persian Gulf in 2026. When Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz in February 2026, the IEA called it the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. 20% of the world's seaborne oil stopped. Brent crude surged past $120 a barrel. This is not a historical case study. This is happening right now. The central law of FMA. To gain something, you must sacrifice something of equal value. Venezuela. 1970, oil nationalized. The government gained unlimited revenue. What did it sacrifice? Its agricultural sector, its manufacturing, its economic diversity. Every believer went into oil. When the price crashed in 2014, there was nothing left. 7.9 million Venezuelans have fled since then. 2,000 still leave every single day. This is the most complete real-world equivalent exchange in history. 100 years of oil revenue, sacrificed agriculture, institutions, economic diversity, and 7.9 million citizens. The Philosopher's Stone always runs out. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 exists because the kingdom knows this. Russia's oil revenues fell 23.8% in 2025. Iraq is 93% oil dependent after 20 years of liberation. They are all in the same story, just at different chapters. This is Caracas after the oil price crashed. This is Detroit after the auto industry left. Different resources, same equivalent exchange, and right now, in the Persian Gulf, the same law is being applied in real time. Iran closed the strait. The world is paying the price. At the end of FMA, Edward Elric gives up alchemy. He sacrifices the one thing that made him powerful to get back what actually mattered: his brother, his humanity. That is Arakawa's answer to the resource curse. You cannot build a state or a life on a single thing of value. At some point, every nation, like Edward, has to decide what it is willing to sacrifice to get back what it actually needs. That question is not in a manga anymore. It is being answered right now, in the Persian Gulf, in Caracas, in Moscow, in Riyadh. Subscribe, because next week we are decoding how Vinland Saga is the most honest depiction of colonialism ever written. And drop your answer in the comments right now. Which petrostate do you think FMA maps onto most closely? Venezuela, Iraq, Russia, or Iran? I read every single one.